It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the SFX Loop. I got an interesting one for you this week. I am personally a big fan of 70's and early 80's made-for-TV films. Basically, a made-for-television film back then was, I don't know, they were big in the 70's. There's hundreds of them that were made in the 70's. I'm not even kidding. There are so many of them that were made in the 70's. Certain ones stand out and certain ones don't. There's a lot of horror movies that were made, and most of the ones that I'm going to be focusing on are horror, although there are a few other ones that kind of veer off from that genre. I've got 10 of them here, though, okay? That, as a big fan of these type of films, I've always loved. Some of these movies I even saw when they originally aired, which dates me, but I did see them when they originally aired. But basically, it was sort of a weird little phenomenon in the 70's. There were these, the Monday night movie, the Wednesday night movie, the Friday night movie. Like, there was 3 networks: CBS, NBC, and ABC. There was also PBS, but PBS was never really considered one of the main networks. The 3 major networks were CBS, NBC, and ABC. And each channel had their own form of, like, the weekly movie that they would, come up with something and it would be put out. Usually they were rip-offs of films that were popular at the box office, Movie like, we'll be talking about a movie later called The Initiation of Sarah was sort of a rip-off of Carrie. Carrie was very popular. Movies would be really popular in the cinemas, and then there would be this made-for-TV movie that is almost exactly the same plot. May even have 1 or 2 of the same actors, like the side actors in it. But that's how that was done. But anyway, we're going to get started here because we got a lot to go through. But I've got 10. I've selected 10 movies, and we're going to go in order by the release date, like when they were actually released. So let's get going. Let's start it off. Born Innocent. This film stars Linda Blair, and it aired on NBC on September 10th, 1974. So NBC, September 10th, 1974. This movie aired on TV. Now, this movie was directed by a guy named Donald Rye. I got my notes here, so don't mind me. It's got Linda Blair in it, an actor named Richard Jekyll, who he was in The Dirty Dozen. He was in a couple other movies, too. He was in a movie called Grizzly. Kim Hunter, whose name pops up in another one of these too. She was from Planet of the Apes. She was Zira in Planet of the Apes, but she did a couple of TV movies. She did a lot of TV work, actually. And this movie was basically about a 14-year-old girl who is a troublemaker, and she gets pretty much sent to this, like, home for girls. And in this home for girls, she's put through a lot of hell. This is like an elongated after-school special, is pretty much what this movie is. And this version I have right here is the VCI version that came out a long time ago, actually. But, yeah. But anyway, so this movie's most notorious for the fact that there was a sequence where she was assaulted by the other girls in a shower with a broom handle. And this was a TV movie. This was shown on actual television, okay? Like a regular network. What do we say? It was shown on NBC. Depending on where you grew up, for me, NBC was Channel 10. But it was different in different areas. But yeah, this is a great little movie with Linda Blair, and she was in quite a few made-for-TV movies as well. The guy who directed it, Donald Rye, he's most known for, Ice Castles. He's most known for a film called Ice Castles from the 80s. That was like his claim to fame. But he also directed that made-for-TV movie with Linda Blair, which is a cool movie if you want to check it out. It's very after-school specially. Let's just put it that way. Bad Ronald. Okay. Bad Ronald, this is a Warner Archive version that came on Blu-ray. Bad Ronald stars Scott Jacoby, Dabney Coleman, and Kim Hunter yet again. It's based on a book called Bad Ronald by a guy named Jack Vance, which I guess was a popular book at the time. This aired on ABC on October 23rd, 1974. Okay? This movie's a lot of fun. Apparently the book is... Oh, it's directed by a guy named Buzz Kulick, okay? Who is... He made a movie called Seamus, and I think Burt Reynolds was in that movie. I've never seen it, but I'm pretty... I think it is. He was mostly like a TV director. He did a lot of TV movies. He directed a lot of TV shows, that kind of stuff. I don't know if they would even make this movie anymore. I mean, I guess the book is more violent than the actual movie itself, but it's all about this kid, Scott Jacoby, who lives in this house with his mother, okay? His mother's played by Kim Hunter, the Zero from Planet of the Apes again. You know, he loves his mother, and he ends up accidentally hurting, or killing, actually. He pushes her or something, and this girl falls, and he ends up accidentally killing this girl, this young girl in the neighborhood. And he comes home and tells his mother, and his mother's like, well, we're gonna hide you. So they hide him in this like crawl space underneath the stairs. And she basically locks him there, and she feeds him, and it turns into like his little house, his room, okay? And eventually the mother dies, and he's stuck in the house. He's living underneath the stairs in this house. And a new family moves in. And the whole idea is, like, the daughter of the new family just keeps feeling like there's somebody watching her all the time because there's this kid that's living under the stairs in her house, who's basically obsessed with these drawings that he makes. I'm not gonna give the whole movie away if you ever want to see it, but it's a really cool, just a cool 70s movie. I don't know. Just a really cool 70s made-for-TV film. These movies kind of... What's very interesting about them is they feel like TV shows from the 70s mostly. They usually take place on a handful of sets. So that's what makes them feel like a TV show. But some of them kind of transcend that. And you'll see as we get a little further along, there are some movies that transcend that like 70s TV show thing. But this movie's really good, and it's a lot of fun, and it's just strange, creepy. And most of these movies are pretty short. This movie's only 74 minutes long. The Legend of Lizzie Borden. Alright. I don't know if these are, some of my DVDs are in these plastic sleeves. I found them on Amazon, and I had so many older DVDs that I decided just to condense them into sleeves. On this, I literally fit like 200 of them on one shelf. It's kind of crazy. It's actually pretty cool if you're into the idea. I know some people wouldn't like the fact that I actually had to fold them. Like some collectors wouldn't like that, but honestly, these actually kind of protect the DVDs better than some of the cases that they were in, so. Regardless, Legend of Lizzie Borden here. It's directed by a guy named Paul Wenkos, okay? Paul Wenkos was, I guess he was responsible for like the Gidget movies in the 60s and stuff like that. Mainly. It's starring Elizabeth Montgomery from the TV show Bewitched. She was really famous for that particular TV show, but this was a much different role for her. I guess if you grow up in Massachusetts, you're well aware of the Lizzie Borden, like, mystery, story, whatever. There's a lot of theories as to it. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I was very obsessed with this TV movie and Lizzie Borden in general, and for years I was trying to find this TV movie, and then it finally came out by, I don't know, Flatiron Cinedigm. I don't know, it's a weird release, but it's a really good transfer of this movie, and it's It's this cool, creepy TV movie that tells the story of Lizzie Borden, how she killed her father and her mother, right? Yeah, I don't know. And what this movie's most known for is the whole sequence where she actually does the killing, because she strips down naked and she kills, and it's Elizabeth Montgomery walking around like half naked. Apparently there are European cuts of this where they actually showed nudity in it, although I don't think this version has any nudity. This is the television version that actually aired. Although it aired on ABC February 10th, 1975 was when this movie actually played on ABC. This movie's really cool though. I'm actually a pretty big fan. Who else was in this movie? Katherine Hellman, Finola Flanagan, and an actor named Fritz Weaver. Whether it's factually accurate or not, I don't know. It's kind of a cool, creepy treat though to watch, and I always like enjoyed it. It has a creepy style to it. It's just, I don't know, it's a fun film to watch, and it's just creepy, and I don't know. Elizabeth Montgomery as Lizzie Borden. It's pretty cool. They redid this with Christina Ricci in like the 2000s or something like that. And I never really watched it. I think they made a TV series out of it, which is kind of funny considering, yeah, I don't know. It's based on a historical thing. But whether it's true or not, this movie's a lot of fun. So. All right, the next movie I'm going to talk about is a classic made-for-TV movie called Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic. Here we go. Here's another Linda Blair movie. Linda Blair is in this one as well. She was in so many of these movies. Like, she's in a bunch of made-for-TV movies. Some that I didn't even mention here. But obviously she was in The Exorcist and Hell Night as well, because I have a picture up on my wall signed by her, which she actually signed to Jay, you are truly born innocent, have a hell of a night, love Linda Blair, which is cool. Because I mentioned Born Innocent, the made-for-TV movie, when I met her, that I really liked it, and she couldn't even believe that I remembered that movie. But, yeah, so we got Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic here. It was directed by Richard Donner of, like, Superman fame, The Goonies. You're going to notice some of these other horror movies that I'm going to be pulling out now, they were made by prominent directors that went on to do like big movies or were doing big movies at the time. They just went back and did some TV movies. But this was 1975, Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic. So it was directed by Richard Donner. It's got Linda Blair in it. It's got Mark Hamill in it. Luke Skywalker is in this movie. He plays, I'm pretty sure he plays Linda Blair's brother that she goes and stays with for a while because she's an alcoholic and her parents don't want her around, and so she ends up going to live with her brother and things just go a bit crazy. This is another one that feels like an after-school special, but it's a very entertaining watch. Larry Hagman from Dallas was in this. Let's see. And some of the other names I don't recognize as much, but like Verna Bloom, William Daniels, Michael Lerner, maybe you'll recognize them. This aired on NBC, which for me was 10. ABC was 12, NBC was 10, and CBS was channel 6 in my area. This aired on February 11th, 1975. So we've got Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic aired in 1975. I was born in 1975, so this was aired in my birth year. But yeah, I don't know. This is a great movie. I also have I don't have it with me right now, but I have this like novelization that a friend gave me for this, which I've actually never read because I don't read a lot. But I used to read a lot. I don't read as much as I did back then. But I think it's just based on the screenplay for it as well. They made a lot of these like novelizations that were based on the screenplay for movies and TV stuff back in the 70s and 80s. It's not as commonplace now as it was back then, but I think it was because you couldn't watch the stuff over and over again like we can nowadays. So there would be all different kinds of things like picture books and obviously the soundtrack, and you could buy like a novelization so you could read it. But the funny thing about the novelizations is they were usually different than what was on the actual TV, because maybe they were based on an earlier version of the script or something, or the writer who did the novelization took some liberties and changed things in the story. But anyway, this is a cool movie to check out, and if you're a fan of Linda Blair or like, I don't know, teenage alcoholic movies, after school specials, you might like this one. So next one we're going to talk about is a huge classic. I mean, this is a classic in the horror genre to begin with. 1975 Trilogy of Terror. Okay, So in 1975, this was directed by Dan Curtis. Dan Curtis made one of my all-time favorite movies, a movie called Burnt Offerings. This has Karen Black, George Gaines, Captain Lassard from the Police Academy movies is in this in a small role. This aired on ABC, which for me would have been Channel 12, March 4th, 1975 is when it originally aired. And there were 3 stories in this. It was an anthology film. And in every single story, Karen Black played a different character. Actually, in one story, she played 2 different characters. The first story was a story called Julie, which would never be put on a TV movie nowadays because it's basically about a student who decides he's in love with his teacher. It's like a college student, I think, who's in love with his teacher. I don't think it's high school. I haven't seen it in a while. And he basically invites her out, drugs her, and like assaults her. And like, so then they do a twist on it though. They make it like she was the one that actually wanted it to happen in the end. I don't know. Like, it's an interesting story. That's actually one of the better stories in this. The funny thing about this is people always remember this for the last story, which is about a Zuni fetish doll, and it's a story called Amelia. Because each story is named after the main female lead that Karen Black plays. The second story is called Millicent and Therese, and she plays 2 different characters. These 2 sisters, one's kind of dowdy, and the other one's like, sort of like a tramp. And then like, they fight with each other, and that's the one with George Gaines in it. He's like the doctor, I think. He's like their doctor. And yeah, you basically find out she's crazy at the end. I don't know, I'm giving away a lot of spoilers here, but if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you might have seen some of this stuff, and you're probably not even going to be able to find half of this stuff. But if you're interested, I'll try not to give away everything. But yeah, Karen Black, directed by Dan Curtis from 1975. This is a lot of fun. This is really known for its last story, Amelia, which is about a woman who gets this Zuni fetish doll as a gift in the mail. And it's got this little like necklace thingy on it. It's got this little thing on it that like, it basically, if that thing falls off, the doll comes to life. And it falls off, and she basically has to fight for her life against this doll throughout the course of this entire film, through that story. And that story is a lot of fun, and it's remembered fondly amongst the horror community, and that is what most people remember about this movie. But yeah, it's a lot of fun movie. It's a fun movie anyway. And like I said, it aired on ABC, right? Yeah, this was an ABC whatever night movie. I don't even know, But this movie was really cool, and this movie's definitely worth checking out. You can get it by Kino. This is a Kino Lorber release, Blu-ray. I don't know if they'll put any other versions of this out, but I've had this one for a while, and this is a really good transfer, and it looks great. So. If you like this kind of content, like, subscribe. I'm going to be doing 1 episode of the SFX Loop a month because I want to put a little more effort into these, make these a little bit more fun. And so, yeah, each month you're going to get 1 SFX Loop. Most of the month is going to be the FX Loop, which is guitar and amp and guitar gear, you know, music-related stuff. But I hope you enjoyed. Maybe you found something cool that you want to check out. That's awesome. I hope so. But anyway, my name is Jay Byrne. This has been the SFX Loop. See you next time.